Hello, 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 and welcome, lads, to a new podcast here in the Barça Bus channel. Actually, the first in this new format that we have that you guys are seeing here in this register form here in this Discord with the lads. And of course, this podcast is dedicated to Barça, and we are going to be talking today, especially about the Bayern game that's going to be happening tomorrow. So we're going to be doing preview, talking about lineups, keys of the games, and all of that good stuff. But also talking a little bit about the game against Sevilla that happened last Sunday, and also the situation about Barça in general. The moment that looks very good and things are going very nice. But actually, as you guys can see, I'm not alone. We have together with me Rishav. How are you doing, guy? How are you doing, man? Welcome.
I'm good, and I hope everyone on board is doing pretty well as well. And simply looking forward to the Bayern Munich game tomorrow night. And quite happy with the form we are showing recently. Top of La Liga, good win in the Champions League, and now two massive matches coming up this week against Bayern and then Real Madrid, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Probably the most important and most decisive week of the season, even if there are a lot of things to happen as well. We have as well, Tal, man. How are you doing? Welcome to the podcast, bro.
Good, good. Thank you. How are you? I'm always, optimistic always for the game tomorrow as well. I'm not sure actually I'm gonna be optimistic after it, but hoping for a redemption for Barca this time.
Yeah, hopefully, man. Hopefully, we can have a good one. But tomorrow, and also against Madrid. And last but not least, we have, I think, a familiar face. No, probably you guys already know Oscar that has been here together with us in another podcast. Rishav as well. I forgot to mention that Rishav already has participated. But Oscar, how are you doing, man? Welcome back, and welcome here to this new podcast, bro.
I'm good, mate. I'm good. But as the lad said, it does feel to me like after Messi scored that goal against Neuer in 2015, it's kind of like we've traded that in for like just humiliation after humiliation against Bayern. Hopefully, one day we've got to get someone against Bayern. I mean, massive. It's massive psychologically, isn't it? Tomorrow, if we can somehow, I mean, I say somehow, this Barca team, with the way we performed this season, we should be going into it with confidence. It's just history, I think, is the biggest thing that makes me sort of pessimistic about this game. Of course, Bayern are an excellent team, but I wouldn't say, yeah, this could be famous last words. I wouldn't say this is the best Bayern team I've ever seen, kind of thing. I've seen better Bayern teams that have got hammers by, but yeah, I'm not going to get too overly optimistic. But I do think we can at least compete tomorrow, which will be progress on the last sort of 6 or 7 games against Bayern. Yeah, let's not go too much into them.
No, definitely, man. I think before I go to the other topics, but I think definitely the main point is that the Barca that we're seeing now is a Barca that gives the feeling that we can compete. Not like 2 or 3 seasons ago when we played against Bayern that we always had the feeling that we would need like a miracle to win. I think tomorrow, I think if Barca plays in the level that we are seeing, then the result we'll see what happens. No, but the level is promising enough to feel that we can at least compete as Oscar said, man. But soon enough we will dive a little bit deeper in the Bayern game all that, man. But let's talk a little bit about the Sevilla match and also the season at home, man. I think we can start with you, Talman. Of course, the game against Sevilla, man. I think Barca controlled and was superior in that game since the start. Even if the first 10 minutes a little bit more complicated, but then after the penalty, I think Barca took control and built the win very nice, man. What were your thoughts about the game and the main players? Lewandowski scoring again, man. Rafinha in great form, all of that, man. How do you feel about the game, man?
Absolutely. I think just like you, the team has started really well, like pressing Sevilla. I think it's something that we're seeing all the time with
Yeah.
with this Barca of Flick. That from minute one we were pressing all the time. Actually, I think we started really well, and then we kind of went back, and I thought this is going to be a really hard match, because even if we were controlling the ball most of the time, Sevilla were defending really well,
Yeah.
and I didn't think it was actually like I would never imagine scoring 5 goals in this game, which actually ended up happening. I think none of us expected it after it started.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I think we're going to talk about the Eric change
Yeah.
as well. I think did change the match. Obviously, we don't know what would have happened if Eric played, but I think Hansi deserves a lot of credit for the team's shape actually, because this is not the lineup he expected, and still, like the team was, I think maybe after the goal, because once you score a goal, things are a lot more calm.
Yeah, it opened up the
But I
game.
think the team is absolutely, absolutely in Sevilla. That they can't sit back anymore because we're gonna score a goal now. So I was really impressed by the way the team is shaped, even though it was not the expected lineup, right? Because Pedri had to drop deep, and then we got Ansu Fati, who we'll talk about also, down the road. But yeah, I think I was really impressed by this sign, and that it was an amazing game, 5-1. What can you say? We also defended really well. I think the team D want to get the clean sheet. Perry talked about it
Yeah,
after,
that is
but
the
yeah, I
only
was really
negative
impressed.
point, no? Negative.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it was an amazing game. Scoring 5 goals. Pablo Torre, we'll talk about it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was impressed by this match.
We go with you now, reshufflement. Do you think that this change that Tal was referring, because of course Eric was meant to start and then got injured, and then Ansu came in. Do you think that change maybe benefited the team a little bit, man? In the sense that we'll talk about Ansu's performances after that, but with him the picture, of course, we have a little bit more with him the left, and also with Lamine and the right, and then with Rafinha on the middle. Even if I think I prefer Rafinha on the left, man. I think this in that game specifically, I think having him in the middle helped a lot, man. Do you think that kind of benefiting the team, even if Eric was doing the job as well as DM, no?
Yeah, to be honest, one thing which really benefited Barcelona with Eric Garcia getting injured, sadly, of course, because we don't want anyone to get injured. One
Of
thing which
course.
really benefited us was that Pedri dropped deep, because if Eric Garcia started, Pedri would have played as the number 10 and
Exactly.
Rafinha would have been on the left.
Very good, man.
And once Eric Garcia did not play, Pedri dropped deep, Rafinha played as the number 10, Ansu was on the left, and I think Pedri played a brilliant game, as like most of the players on the pitch. I think Inigo had a very good game, Pau Kubasi as well. Kunde, he always has good games, and
Yeah.
Rafinha was brilliant. Lewandowski, even apart from the 2 goals, some of his touches were really good. Lamine Yamal, as always, like most matches, as a 17-year-old, his consistency is still incredible. He also like another assist to his name. Then Rafinha, he was pressing like a madman, which he always does. And Pedri scored a beautiful goal. He controlled things. He had so many beautiful long balls to Lamine, then to Ansu Fati as well. Ansu Fati, he played a decent game, I would say. It wasn't that good. It wasn't that bad. It was so-so. Like, he did his job well. Probably he got a chance towards the end before he got substituted. Brilliant ball from Pedri, which he headed straight at Nyland, the goalkeeper. I think that goal would have been very beneficial for him to boost up his confidence. And apart from that, Ansu did have some good flashes, but sometimes I feel as though he was trying a little bit too hard, like to impress the coach. Like it was his opportunity, of course. Like now, with when Danny Olmo returns to full fitness, Ansu will struggle a bit to have minutes. Because quite honestly, the preferred front four would definitely be Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, Danny Olmo, and Lewandowski. And so this was Ansu Fati's chance to impress the coach. And now we also have got the likes of Fermin Lopez returning. Frankie De Jong is returning. Gavi just returned, and he will obviously take a bit of time to return to full fitness. But yeah, this was Ansu Fati's chance, and I don't know actually how Flick interface inferences from Ansu Fati's performance. Like I said, I for me it was a decent one, but I saw some people even criticizing him, like not doing enough, not working hard enough. Like if you, like honestly, if you compare some another winger with Rafinha and the hard work he puts in every match, like that's not like I would say it is not fair to the other player, because Rafinha is honestly one of the most hardworking players I've ever seen in my life. For a winger to track back so much and do so much of defending and helping out in defense, that's really incredible. And that's, to be honest, if you compare Ansu Fati, who is just returning from an injury, and his work ethics with someone like Rafinha, it doesn't make a fair comparison. But still, I I would say that party maybe should have taken that chance. Then maybe we would not. Maybe we would have been having a different discussion right now.
Yeah, no, I will throw to Oscar, man, but just to give my brief in the Fadi thing, man. Actually, me and Oscar in the post match on Sunday, we talked a little bit about, man, and I said, that I think my feeling with Fati, man, is that I don't know, man. Of course, physically, I think even if he's recovered, but I have the feeling that he's like not 100% because he doesn't try the things that he did before the injury, But I think also that maybe it could be like a little bit of a confidence problem, man. I don't know, pressure or what, man. That I don't know, he doesn't feel like he's in the same rhythm of the team, not even mentally and also not even physically, man. But no, Oscar, what do you think, man? Do you think Ansu, man, he has a place on this team, and what exactly is his role, man? What are your thoughts in him, generally, man? Because if we go back to the past, man, before the injury, we know he's a special talent, or was,
Yeah, I mean, listen, the injuries he's had, it's going to take time for him to come back, especially the nature of the player he is, a winger as well. A lot of high intensity running. It's always going to, there's always the risk of the recurring injury, and that has already happened with Ansu Fati. So it is always a case of, is he going to trust his body enough sometimes, in that kind of sense. Sometimes we think he's 1-on-1 against a fullback. Ansu of 2019, 2020 would have just burst past the fullback without even thinking. He wouldn't even thinking, just a stop it. He'd just be straight, running straight at fullback and trying to get a ball in the box or having a shot. That was Ansu. That's what made him so great. And to be honest, it was a little bit like of Gavi to an extent. I was worried with Gavi that when he came back, I thought, I really, 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 really hope we're not going to lose even 1% of Gavi's tenacity. And then within 10 seconds of coming on, he's gone steaming into a tackle, giving a foul away. And I thought, no, he's fine. Gavi's fine. Gavi's back to normal. That's absolutely fine. Gavi's back. It's almost like he pre-planned that foul kind of thing. I just need to do something 10 seconds in. But with Ansu, it's a different scenario, different position. And I think, for a winger, it is always more difficult coming back from that kind of injury, or a forward in general. But as Rishabh said, Yamal, Olmo, Rafinha, Lewandowski feels like our best front four at this moment in time. It feels pretty settled. And it feels like Firmino is probably the closest to breaking into that, when he's fully fit. But over a long season, Ansu Fati will still get a lot of minutes this season if he's fit and if he's anywhere near the level. I think I said to you on Sunday, Ottavio, that I would much rather give the minutes to Ansu than Ferran. For me, Ferran has had far more opportunity, far more favourable conditions. Ansu hasn't really had that luxury as much, and I'd still stand by that, to be honest. I didn't think it was. Listen, it was a 6 out of 10 kind of game for me for Ansu. I think what the issue is he probably needed more. I think we wanted to see an 8 out of 10, a 9 out of 10, and really put out a performance where you think, wow, Ansu's back kind of thing. That's what we kind of wanted. Because I think we're seeing so many remontada individuals this season. Inigo for starters. Who'd have thought after that first half against Valencia, Inigo would go on and be basically the best centre back in Europe on form at this moment in time. Rafinha to an extent, he's found that consistency now to his game that he's always been threatening to show. Lamines, he already equalled his output from last season, so we're seeing huge, improvements, on players who were either not playing too well last season or played at a good level last season, but they've gone up another level. I think with Ansu, we're kind of not seeing that yet, so I think that's why the criticism's a little bit more. I think ultimately, Ansu isn't going to start the next 2 games. I don't think. I really can't see it. I think he's going to be asked to come off the bench, and the ideal scenario would be Ansu will come off the bench in either game and make a difference, because that'll be humongous for his confidence. I think there's a confidence element to it as well, and I think ultimately you've got to be looking at the Champions League games if we are comfortable against the lesser teams and using that as an opportunity to play Ansu, or against lesser teams in the league, and trying to just boost his confidence that way. I certainly don't think we should be ruling out Ansu. I think when you've got a player with that pure talent that he's got. And you have to remember, he's still only 21 years of age.
Yeah,
21.
21, no?
Same age as Casado.
For
You know, it's
2002, no? No.
there's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of potential with Ansu, and I don't. Maybe there's a little bit of, I don't know, emotion behind it, but I don't think you can lose what Ansu had that quickly. Even when he came back in sort of 2022 time, you know, when Xavi first took the job, I thought Ansu looked really sharp. I don't think he scored 5 and 5 when he came back and ultimately picked up another injury. There's goals in Ansu Fati, 100%, and he could be a very useful player this season off the bench, even if he might not be quite the same level of pure talent that he was back in 2019, 2020.
Nah, for sure, man. I think that is the point. I remember, I think it was that a Super Cup, no, against Madrid, man. I think like
Yeah,
the,
he
no,
came
no,
on. They went
it was the first
The
match.
3-2 loss, no?
Yeah, exactly. When he came back and he scored a header, and then we thought, oh,
Header.
Ansu's back and all that. No? So that's why I also think, man, that there is still a player in him, no? That
He's getting the chance to score as well. It's not like he's coming on and he's offering nothing. He is. Ultimately, it's frustrating he's not taking the chances, but it's the fact he's getting the chances. If you compare it to, sorry to say again, Varane, Varane's not really been doing that,
Exactly,
if we're being honest. He's not really shown that same, level of liveliness. And to an extent, you could say Pau Victor as well, from time to time as well.
Exactly.
Although I've got a lot more patience with Pau Victor. Fati is showing goal threat, even if he's not quite putting it in the back of the net. He's kind of got the Rafinha finishing from the first half of last season at this moment in time, but it can still be turned around.
nah, that
I
is a
think
very
the
go on, man.
uh-huh. Yeah, I want to say that I think the problem with Ansu is that we all know who Ansu was, and I think Ansu knows that as well. Like he feels the pressure. Like
Show.
whenever I don't know, he has a one-on-one. For example, you just mentioned Pau Victor. If Pau Victor has a one-on-one and I don't know hits the post, we say, "Wow, this guy can improve a little bit, and he's going to be amazing." But when Ansu does it, we say, "Ansu used to score that
Yeah.
every single day." You know, like Ansu used to be that player who would also like always score that. And I think he knows that. We know the expectations we have from him. I don't know if he's physically well or not. Like I've seen a report today. I can't remember who it was who said that he's not physically well, but he is playing a lot, and he's had a lot of time to recover. I think he's played like I think like one time last year he played the full 90 minutes in Brighton. So maybe he's not well physically either, but I think that's the case with Ansu. For me, it's more a mental thing. I'm not sure if I don't know Ansu. I haven't talked to him, but from what I'm saying, that the expression of his face, he just every time he misses, he just takes it. It's really harsh on him, and I think that's his problem. He knows that we know that he was really good, and he's not that player anymore. And personally, like I can really relate to your optimism, Oscar. That obviously we all want Ansu to be back, not only for him because we love him now after what he did for us, but also for us. Obviously, if we have this threat from the bench or in the starting 11, whatever, this can have a huge impact. Obviously, and imagine like Yamil Lamal on the right wing and Ansu of 2019, for example, on the left wing, with
Fire, man.
Lewandowski, who scored 14 goals this season.
And Rafinha in
This
behind,
this
no?
could be
Or Dani Olmo.
and Rafinha of this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we have so many options, but I personally don't see Ansu coming back because I'm so tired of desperately waiting for this and getting disappointed. But hopefully, man, if he can come back, I think this is we always say this in the Barca media, like the signing of the summer, and then like a player who's coming back from injury. But this could actually be the signing of the summer if Ansu Fati gets back to his level. But I don't believe he's going back to it.
Yeah, until now.
It's almost like, sorry mate.
No problem, man. Go on.
It's almost like the Nico Williams not signing is the stay of execution almost for Ansu Fati, because I think if Nico Williams had signed, especially the form Rafinha's been on, obviously if Olmo had signed as well, it'd have been very difficult. And if Barca did return to say 1-1 in terms of being able to make transfers in January, and we're pushing for a treble possibly, or competing on, not pushing for a treble, competing on three fronts kind of thing. There might be a temptation to look at January again. Nico Williams at a cut price deal, then at Bilbao, something like that. So Ansu will know this kind of thing. He'll have things in his mind thinking that it could have been all over had Nico Williams actually been done. That signing happened, he'd be down to kind of third or fourth choice winger. It'd have been looking very, very bleak. So there is pressure on Ansu, but from a mental side of things, and hopefully, I imagine Hansi Flick as well will be kind of almost sort of mentioning this to Ansu Fati that, you know what, you've got the chance now. You have got, there's no one other than Rafinha who's taking your place. Ferran's out the team at this moment in time injured. This is Ansu Fati's opportunity. And even if he's off the bench, as I say, one tap-in against Real Madrid, even if it doesn't mean that much in terms of him as a player, it just changes the whole optics around Ansu Fati. It changes the whole perception around everything that happened against Sevilla in terms of criticism. It's forgotten about if he scores against Bayern or Real Madrid. It's as simple as that. And that is what Ansu needs, a moment like that. He just needs a little bit of luck for me. But I do ultimately agree. I think we can't just keep relying on Ansu. I think if the situation doesn't improve in the next 2 months or so, 2 or 3 months, when getting into the second half of the season, maybe it is time to bring in that proper, proven backup left winger, potentially, if we are competitive on 3 fronts.
I'm gonna throw to you as well, Rishad. But yeah, I think that ultimately is that, man. He needs to the opportunity that he's having, and as you said, man, without Ferran, he's gonna be having, especially for I think from the bench, because for now I think Rafinha probably is the starting left winger. Maybe I don't know, some games could be Dani Olmo, but for now more Rafinha, no. So yeah, man. Hopefully he can the chances that he has, he can enjoy them and be important in the team, man. What do you think, Rishab? Do you think he still will recover his best level, man? Because the best level that we saw for Anso was just something incredible, man. But for now, at least if he could bring something different from the team, when you need to change, you need to refresh a little bit, could be useful, no?
Well, actually, my perception is that even more than the meniscus injury which he had in his knee, the hamstring injury
Mm-hmm.
which he suffered against Athletic Club, that hurt him even more.
Yeah, that was
Maybe
tough.
he suffered it first against Celta Vigo, I think. The match we were leading 3-0 and we bottled it to a 3-3 draw.
I remember.
I think just after he scored a goal, he pulled his hamstring
Yeah.
and he returned against Real Madrid. He scored a great goal, obviously, in the Super Cup, which we were discussing a few moments ago.
Mm-hmm.
And right after that match in the Copa del Rey, we traveled to Athletic Club
Athletic.
and we lost that game in extra time. And Ansu pulled his hamstring again in the same game. And after that, he was advised to undergo surgery by the doctors, and he and his family opted for conservative treatment. I think, looking from the player's perspective, I think you can't blame him for that because the same player he underwent 2 or 3 surgeries in his knee. They messed up somewhat. He had another surgery in his knee to fix the problems which the doctor messed up, and there was definitely a fear in his mind and the back of his mind, and you can't blame him for not wanting to undergo another surgery in his hamstring. And right after that, whenever he has returned, I think he has looked a bit shy of confidence. Like even in his movements, he looks a bit scared. Like he might pull another hamstring or another muscle. And the same problem occurred against when he was playing for Brighton, and another hamstring injury. And after that, he returned to Barcelona. Even during the fag end of the season at Brighton, he hardly played. Like after he returned from injury, maybe in February or March, he hardly played a full game, and he was only given like 5 or 7 minutes towards the end of the season in every game by their ex-coach De Zerbi. And it must be remembered that De Zerbi was the one who pressurized to sign Ansu Fati for Brighton, and even he was not giving him proper minutes towards the end of the season. Now, that might be for a reason that he knew that Ansu won't continue at Brighton, and even he won't continue at Brighton. But we don't know what actually happened. Maybe he didn't have faith because Brighton, I think they were fighting for a place in the Europa League, which they obviously missed out on. But I don't know what happened between De Zerbi and Ansu Fati towards the end of the season. And after that, he returned to Barcelona. There were reports that he impressed a lot in preseason, and after that he had another injury in his foot.
Exactly.
Yeah, that forced him to be out of the United States preseason tour, and even after returning, he has had only one start so far, and that was even after Eddie Garcia got injured. Before that, he was not even playing, like only 2 or 3 substitute appearances. Even after returning, he was left on the bench without even playing for 3 or 4 games. And now I don't know what will happen because once Dani Olmo returns to full fitness, it would be like really difficult to look past the front four of Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, Dani Olmo, and
Leva.
Robert Lewandowski, of course.
Yeah.
And like I said, you also have got Fermin Lopez back now. He's another option to play as a number 10 and on the left wing as well. Gavi can also play, but I don't think Flick will do what Xavi did and put Gavi on the left wing. But still, even until the time Ferran Torres is out, Ansu Fati will definitely have some chances. Maybe not in the big games, but some of the secondary games, like I don't know, after Real Madrid, maybe we face Espanyol, and that is another big game. Of course, not for the standings, but due to the history of the two clubs, it's a derby. Of course, we want to win. We want to win big. And also after the Madrid game, we have a break of 1 week. So I expect Barcelona to have their like Gala 11, as we say, for the Madrid game and for the Espanyol game as well. And after Espanyol, I think we have a game in the Champions League. I don't
Yeah.
remember if it is against Brest or against Red Star Belgrade.
Think it's Red Star. Red Star on Serbia, if I'm not wrong, no?
Yeah, it's an away game, no?
Yeah. No, no.
Yeah, in that game, I do expect him to have more minutes, to be honest. Because it's a game we expect to win, and you don't actually need your best players to beat Red Star Belgrade. Although the stadium up there in Serbia, they have a wonderful atmosphere
Intense,
created
no?
there. To be honest, yeah, I watched a match against Spain. It was in the same stadium where we are supposed to play Red Star, and they created a very intense and a brilliant atmosphere. To be honest.
That for
So
sure is good.
yeah, coming to the point of Ansu Fati, the limited opportunities which he gets, he has to take them. And again, if he doesn't improve by the end of the season, I think the club will definitely have to make a decision because his contract is also up in 2027, I guess,
Yeah,
or
27.
26. I don't remember that well. Maybe 26 or 27. And
27.
it must be remembered that after Lewandowski and after Frenkie de Jong, Ansu Fati is actually the highest earner of the club.
Right.
And that kind of salary for a player who was just 18 or 19, it definitely showed the club's trust in him because he was out for a long time. And they definitely, I don't think, but still the salary which they gave him, as per the reports, of course, for a player of that age, I think the club exaggerated a bit. Because obviously he had the talent. But his salary again would have it would have been better if it was in line with someone like Pedri or the likes of Gavi, something like that. But they overpaid a bit, I would say. Um, so I don't know if the club will want to get rid of him if he doesn't improve by the end of the season and try to bring in a left winger like Nico Williams. I don't know if he'll be a target next season as well. We'll see. Also, there were reports about Rafa Leao and Nico Williams. Maybe again the limited opportunities which he gets, he has to take them.
Yeah. No, definitely
But
depend on
yeah, we
what.
know the talent. He got the talent, and that's it.
No, definitely depending on what he does from here until the end of the season. Definitely, if he did, as we are saying, the opportunities he gets, he enjoys and does well. Maybe the club can continue to, think to continue with him. No, but now moving to the next topic, man. Before we go to the Bayern, actually, man, there is I think a proper name that we should discuss because also talking about a player that recovered from injury, man. That I think is Gavi, no. I think we should talk a little bit about him, and we can start with Oscar or with whoever wants, man. But I think, man, Gavi's return is of course great news for Barcelona, man. Of course, everything that he gives, the intensity, the aggressiveness, of course, the technical quality, man. But I wanted to ask you, man, of course, how you feel about his return and all that. But when he's on full fitness, the slowly but surely he will be getting the rhythm. No, where do you think is going to be his best role in the team and his best position, man? Together with Pedro in the double pivot, maybe as the number 10. Rashad said about in the left, maybe if that option's not the most ideal. But how do you see his fit in the team, man? Because of course he has a lot to give to Barca, no?
I think, oh yeah, listen, Gavi being back is humongous for the club. It's humongous. We can't compete for trophies this season without Gavi in the team. I don't think over a long stretch. I know up to now we've been fantastic, but over a long stretch of a season, you need players like Gavi in the team just for the leadership alone. Never mind the quality he brings to a football pitch. I think for me in terms of position, I was thinking about this. I think if we're going to stick, because I think obviously we've rotated between a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-3-3, depending on personnel. But I think mostly the last couple of games it's been a 4-2-3-1. I think Gavi is best suited alongside Pedri deeper. I know it's quite an open midfield, that, but for me, in terms of what that front four can give, when you have Olmo in the 10 as well, Rafa from the left, Lamine from the right, yeah, I can't ignore that in terms of pure productivity, because I think at the end of the day, under Hansi Flick, against a better quality opposition, they're going to be basketball matches. It's going to be end to end. It's going to be a case of can we outscore the opposition, and that's the way we're going to have to play. And I think you've got to have your four best attackers at this moment in time on form at the top end of the pitch, and kind of accept that yes, we are going to be a little bit open, but we've got quality at the top end of the pitch. But I think in Gavi and Pedri, it gives you a lot of technical elegance in the middle of the pitch as well, a lot of control. The fact that Pedri on the ball is by far our best player in terms of controlling the game and passing the ball and knitting plays together. He's arguably the best in Europe at this moment in time. He's been absolutely amazing this season. I think he's also gone up another level. I think it's harsh on Casado. It's harsh on whoever wants to play alongside Pedri, but ultimately it feels tailor-made for Gavi. And I think when you look at Hansi Flick's treble-winning team at Bayern, what that midfield had was Thiago kind of playing the Pedri role, and they had someone intense and the pressure of the ball alongside him who could cover, Goretzka, Kimmich sometimes. There was someone else as well who can't think who else it was who went in. But yeah, that kind of player.
Always more of a physical player, no?
Those kind of players, could cover, Pedri in terms of out of possession and that lot, because I think Pedri's kind of, I wouldn't say protects him in the system, but I think he's the player who doesn't have to do as much running, but it's purposeful. There's a reason behind it. I think Gavi covering that space makes the most sense to me. And I think for the Bayern game, it's too soon. It's definitely too soon to be starting Gavi. I think that is, a little bit, heart over head. But the Bernabeu, that kind of atmosphere, Gavi against Real Madrid, I think has never been below a 10 out of 10. And I don't think that's an exaggeration. I mean, his performances in those games, I think only really in recent years, only really Messi in those games, I think has really took to the El Clasico the way Gavi has. It feels like, that could be an opportunity, maybe. But who knows? But I don't think he'll start tomorrow night. I just can't see it. I love it, but it won't happen. But the Bernabeu away, maybe that's an option, and that would be lovely. Just to wind up the Madrid fans a little bit, just make all the focus on Gavi a little bit. I wouldn't mind that a little bit.
Go on, Tal. How do you see it, man? Gavi's present in the team.
Yeah, I think firstly, as Oscar said, it's amazing to have him back in the team, because I don't know how well he's going to get back, because 11 months, man, without playing, that's a long time. Like, even for me, if I don't play football for 3 months, it doesn't feel the same. And I'm not a professional football, So I think it's going to be really hard for him to come back, but I don't want to put any more pressure on him. But I do want to remind you that Xavi, actually, I think it was 2005, 2006, that he got injured for 5 months, like the same injury, just, it was a little bit easier on him. And he came back just fine. We can say now that, passing of the time, that Xavi has actually made it through this injury. So hopefully Gavi can do the same, to number 6, even though I do, like I said, I don't want to put too much pressure on him. Yeah. But I think even if he doesn't get back to the same level physically in the first, 2 months, the moment that Gavi steps on the pitch, there is something that we don't get without Gavi, and that's the unbelievable energy. I think that the most similar thing to that would be Rafinha, who, presses all the time. Right. And I think it's hard to remember now because the team is pressing unbelievably well with Flick, and they all have a lot of energy. But I think with Xavi, we were missing this energy. Like, we were lacking someone who will just run at people. And, with Xavi, I felt like there were games, and I'm thinking about the 5-3 loss, for example, to Villarreal, we just didn't have that kind of energy. You know, we were not killing ourselves to get to every single ball. And with Gavi, you just get that out of the time. And it's not just one player, because let's see, I don't know, Olmo sees Gavi running, you know, like a madman, and he just gets caught on it as well. And actually, I saw an interview today with Olmo that he was saying just that. Actually, it was about Rafinha. But Rafinha, as we said, he's running all the time. And Olmo said, you know, I see Rafinha running like the whole 90 minutes. And I can't just stand here, you know. I need to run as well. Like, I see this guy doing all this work to get the ball back, and they all just get caught up on it, if you know what I mean. Like, one player does it, and everyone joins it. So I think that is, like, even if Gavi is not 100% fit physically, obviously he shouldn't play if it's a risk for an injury. But if he can play, I think he's just such an important player in our team.
No, yeah, man, for sure. I think definitely he gives this extra point of aggressiveness and competitiveness, no? That he, or competitivity, or how do you call it? That I think Flick's gonna be rubbing his hands, no? To have him, because he's the type of player that I think complements very well the system. And also what you said, and also Oscar said about the combination with Pedri, man, I really like the sound of that. And I think even if Pedri is more of a type of creation player, or more of a ball deep creator player, I think with Gavi that could work, man, because the two both of them could complement each other, man. How do you see Richard, man, before we go to the Bayern, man?
Yeah, first of all, of course, as Oscar and Tal already say, that Gavi's return is a huge boost for the club. It obviously is. And coming to his best position, I also do believe that his best position is next to Pedri with a double pivot. But again, that would be really harsh on someone like Marc Casado, because I think he has had a brilliant season so far. Because it's his first season in this level, and I don't think he has put a foot wrong so far. I think that matches against Bayern and Madrid will be bigger test for him, but till now he has passed every test. Because even in the match against Monaco, we were down to 10 men after just 10 minutes, and I think apart from Lamine Yamal, Marc Casado was our best player. And it was his Champions League, maybe first. No, I think he started a game against Victoria Pilsen in the Champions League. But of course, it was a dead rubber, and there was nothing in that game. But against Monaco, you can say that it was his first major experience in the Champions League, and he definitely passed it really well. And against even against teams like like against Girona, Villarreal, they are good teams, and even in those games he fared really well. But again, Gavi is Gavi. I don't think Flick or any other coach can keep him away from the team. And of course, he'll take a bit of time to get into full rhythm. And I'm giving him around another month, because he was out. Injury, one of the most serious injuries in sports, and he was out for almost a year. And it will definitely take more time for him to be back at full fitness. Gradually, his minutes will increase. Like in the last game, he played 10 minutes. Maybe in the next week, he can play like 20 minutes or 25 minutes. After that, he can play a full half, then like 60 minutes, and then a full game. But it will take time. Maybe I hope by the time we visit Borussia Dortmund, by that time he can be able to play the full game. But before that, of course, the best position is definitely next to Pedri in the double pivot. But it will be very harsh on Casado, and let's not forget Frankie de Jong is also returning. And thankfully, it is Flick who has to make the decisions. He's the coach. He has to bear this headache and not us. And that's something we should be thankful of. And it's Flick's headache now to decide which players he wants to field in every game.
Yeah, man, and the thing with Gavi is that he has came up in has came back in a week that is a very high demanding week, no. Yeah, Sunday with Sevilla, tomorrow with Bayern, also Saturday with Madrid. So
Gabby was never missing this week, though.
yeah,
He was looking at this week and he thought, yeah, I might not be fully fit,
this
but
is the week
I
I
am not
want.
missing this week. Yeah, I am not. I mean, he's probably had to. Yeah, I think the doctors have been put under a bit of pressure there to get him fit for this week. But what an option, by the way, as well. For tomorrow night, if we're seeing out the game, say if by some luck we're 1-0 up or 2-1 up in the game, you need to put Gavi on. You can finish the game with Casado, Gavi, and Pedri, and just see the game out with that technical quality and work rate off the ball. It's just a great option to have.
I
Like
don't know if
Spec
you
with
guys,
Gavi. That's my hot take.
Go on,
yeah, I
go
don't
on.
know if you guys can relate to that, but what I see with Gavi, obviously he's very good technically, but he's not like a generational talent.
Yeah.
But I think that's also one of the reasons that he can recover really well from these injuries because for example, Ansu Fati, he can't get like he's not recovering very well, partly because the physical aspect of Ansu is key, and for Gavi, obviously his physicality is important, but it's not the only thing he does. Like with Gavi, it's the energy that he
Yeah,
brings
the
and the
running.
brain that he has. The football brain that he has, which is amazing. And Xavi did say many times, like, man, I wish I had 11 Gavis in my team.
Yeah.
So for me, like I see Gavi on the pitch, and I just see myself just better at football. You know what I mean? Like he cares just as much as we do. Like for him, it's not just a job. I don't have, I don't know, I don't have a name that I'm gonna tell you. Yeah, this guy is just a job for him.
Uh-huh.
But like Gavi, I was gonna say Javi, yeah, a combination.
No, the name
But
is
Gavi,
similar.
like, yeah, he's like a fan. I think that's
Yeah,
why
he plays with
also like the
passion, no?
standing ovation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the standing ovation that he got, the fans adore him. Because this guy is a culé. This guy is one of us, just better at football. That's it.
No, in every goal that he scores, man, he always kisses the badge. No, I don't know if you guys have realized,
Always.
but always, man. And I think is exactly what you said, man. That like the feeling, the passion, no, that he shows playing with Barca, man. At the end of the day, is what you want to see. You want to see players that are committed, that are giving the 1,000% for the club, man. Of course, they are good playing football, and Gavi, I think, ticks up all of the all of those things, no. But now, man, going to the Bayern game, man. That is the main topic, no. I don't know who was in order, man, but I'm gonna throw to Richard for him to start, man. First of all, man, how's your feelings of going from the game, man? Me personally, as I said from the beginning, man, of course, is an incredible match, a match with a lot of hype and also a lot of history behind because, well, for Barca, not a very good history because recently the games of Barca against Bayern hasn't been the greatest. I think the last five or last six, something like that. Barca has lost since 14-15, no. But this season, I think we can all agree that it's different, no. The situation, man, the feeling around Barca, the way Barca is playing, man, the confidence that there is on the fans, on the players, on the coach, and on basically the whole Barca environment is different, man. But so, how is your feeling, man? Then after that, if you want to talk about, I don't know, the more footballing aspects, the lineup, what would you like to see, the players would like to see, feel free, man.
Well, to be very honest, as compared to the 2021 to 22 season,
Uh-huh.
I definitely am more optimistic now.
Yeah.
And that season, we honestly knew that we can't compete with top teams like Bayern.
Yeah, it was
And
hard. It
obviously,
was
we
difficult.
have a lot of respect for them. They are an incredible team. They are doing pretty well now under a new coach and Vincent Company.
Yep.
And I think the likes of Harry Kane, then Michael Olise, a wonderful signing they have made. He has started the season really well. And coming to the game, of course, I'm moderately optimistic. And like in these games, like anything can happen. Two very good teams coming up against each other. And like we even saw in the 2022 to 23 season, I just hope that something like that doesn't happen this time around. Because I honestly think that we played a brilliant first half in that game away at the Allianz Arena.
Yeah, I
Like
remember.
Pedri had two
Was
good chances to score. Lewandowski had
Yeah,
two brilliant chances to
there were a
score.
lot.
Then a sure shot penalty on Usman Dembele was not called upon. Rafinha had some good shots from distance. They flew just wide of Neuer's post. I just hope that something like that doesn't happen. And then Bayern, of course, they had a corner and they had a set piece, and from that they scored. And after that, of course, our heads dropped. We conceded a second goal soon after that, and I just hope that something like that doesn't happen. Like one thing is for sure that both teams, the free flowing football they both play, they we can assure that we'll see a lot of chances being created. Now it's up to the teams who can take those chances. Because Bayern, I don't think they have been that good defensively recently. Because even Aston Villa, they lost away to Aston Villa. The super sub Jean Duran, he of course he scored. Then the next game they drew 3-3 with I think it was Eintracht Frankfurt.
Not
And
sure.
Frankfurt Eintracht Frankfurt they had a 3-3 draw.
Yeah.
And so Bayern they haven't been that solid defensively, I would say. And even against Dinamo Zagreb, they did score 9 goals in that game. But there was a point at which Bayern were leading 3-0, and within few minutes, Dinamo Zagreb scored twice, and they were very close to scoring a third goal, which would have equalized the match at 3-3. And then it would have been a different match altogether. But after that, Bayern just went berserk, and they scored 9 goals in that game. And so that's for sure that we'll definitely have chances. And we also play a very high line. They have pacey wingers with the likes of Michael Olise, then Serge Gnabry. They are wonderful players. They have pace. Leroy Sané is also just returning. And we don't know if Musiala will play. Musiala, another one of my favorite players, definitely. He's a top talent.
Yeah.
And they'll miss Pavlovic, definitely. He broke his collarbone recently in the previous game. And we obviously wish him a very speedy and a healthy recovery as well. And Pavlovic will definitely be a big miss for them. I think he has another top talent coming up from Bayern. And so coming up to the preferred lineup for Barcelona, which I would like to see, I think definitely Pena would start as Flick said in the press conference before the match against Sevilla. And that is another topic which we can discuss later. But that why is
Definitely.
Pena starting over Chesney? I I don't know how to pronounce it properly, of course, but we'll call him Tech.
No one
That's
does.
better,
Chesney,
I guess.
Chesney or Wojciech or however you wanna call him, man.
So that is another topic because we'll come to it later. But Pena would start in goal. Um, then the defense is pretty much set, I would say, with the likes of Balde. We definitely start at left back,
No
Kovaci
doubt.
and Inigo Martinez centrally, and Kunde at right back. And two midfield positions are fixed as well. Marcasado will definitely start alongside Pedri, and three attackers are also set: Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, and Robert Lewandowski. And so that brings us to the point at which 10 players are fixed out of the 11. And the last position, if Danny Olmo played few minutes against Sevilla recently, I definitely think that Olmo would have started. But now I don't think Olmo is in a position to start or play a full game. Or if he comes on, it will be mostly for 30 minutes or something like that. So I also don't think that Frankie de Jong is in a position to start. Like he had to substitute appearances, hardly played around 25-30 minutes in total in those two games. Then I personally do think that it would be Fermin Lopez who starts as the number 10, and Pedri and Macasado would be deeper, and rest of the lineup is pretty much set. And one thing I do want to see tomorrow is Rafinha playing down the left
Me
because
too.
the likes of Michael Olise, he's a wonderful player.
Yep.
And to me, along with Musiala, if he plays Musiala, then Olise would be the biggest threat. Because Harry Kane, he's another wonderful player, of course, but you need to take the ball to Harry Kane, right? He's another forward who demands the ball at his feet, and if you just can stop the passing lanes into Harry Kane, you need to stop Olise for that. And for that, I would like to see Rafinha playing down the left hand side and keeping Olise under checks because if you leave Balde alone against Olise, and they also have another attacking right back in Rafa Guerrero, he's another good player. And they can make Balde suffer, to be honest. Alone Balde, it would be a very tough job for him to keep both of them under check. So that's why I would prefer Rafinha playing down the left and maybe Fermin Lopez down the middle and Lamine Yamal, of course, on the right and Lewandowski up front. And Bayern's lineup would be something like this, I believe. Neuer would obviously start as the goalkeeper. Then the left back would be Alfonso Davies. Then centrally they would have Kim Min-jae and Upamecano. On the right, Guerrero would start. And in midfield, Kimmich would be one of the players definitely. Then we'll have to see if they go for Palinia or they go for Goretzka up there. Because if Pavlovic was fit, definitely it would have been Kimmich and Pavlovic. But now, since Pavlovic is out, maybe I think it will be Palinia,
Palhinha as
the
well,
new
I think.
signing from Fulham. And he hasn't had a good time so far at Bayern, even after making a big money move from the Premier League. He has not maybe had the minutes which he had desired for. Then up front, they'll also have two wingers, a number 10 and Harry Kane up front. One of the wingers will definitely be Michael Olise from the right hand side. On the left, it will be either Gnabry or Leroy Sané. And if Musiala is fit, he'll start as a number 10. And if he's not fit, then we will start against a player who has a very good record against us in Thomas Muller.
Thomas Müller.
So this would be Bayern's lineup as well. And one of the most important things would be to keep a check on Michael Olise, as I said. Then another aspect is taking our chances, which I think is very important. Like I said, I don't want to see a repeat of what happened 2 years ago at the Allianz Arena. And also, I hope that Lewandowski has his head in the right position, in the right place this time. Like after the previous matches against Bayern, he said that maybe the occasion got to him playing against his former club at his former stadium, and that is what caused him his the two chances which you'd expect Lewandowski to take in his sleep. But one of those chances he blazed over, and one of the headers he had straight at Neuer. This is another aspect, and I do expect, like, if we are up to discussing predictions, then I would say I obviously hope we win. We win big. We have somewhat of, we can turn around somewhat of the record which we have against Bayern. Which, to be honest, in the last 6 matches we have lost.
Be a
Our
nightmare.
previous win dates back. Yeah, the previous win dates back to 2014-15, 2015 May, when Messi scored that wonderful. He dropped Boateng to the floor and chipped it over Neuer, one of the best goals in the history of the Champions League. And after that, we lost 3-2 in the same fixture.
Yeah,
We obviously went
in
through
Allianz.
on aggregate, but we went through on aggregate, but we lost that tie. After that, of course, we don't want to talk, but we lost 8-2. After that, the season after that, we obviously didn't expect us to do anything against a top team, as I said before. Like we lost both games 3-0 each during the COVID times. One of them being under Ronald Koeman and the other under Xavi.
Yeah.
And after that, in the 22-23 season, that was our time actually. The game which we lost 2-0 away at the Allianz Arena, maybe that game, it definitely desired to have a different result, but sadly didn't happen. And after that, another game we lost 3-0, and by that time, I think we were already out of the Champions League, and we were
After the
definitely
Inter
not in a
game.
position to, yeah, we were definitely not in a position psychologically to compete in that game, and we went on to lose the 3-0 as well. And now let's see, under a new coach who was at Bayern as a player and both as a player and as a coach, he was the mastermind behind our 8-2. And now, as they say, you hurt us. Now it's time to help us. Let's see what Hansi can do. And even Vincent Company, he's doing pretty well, I would say. Another new coach, he's just starting his career. Had 2 seasons at Burnley, and now at Bayern, it is definitely a big step up for him as well, coming from Burnley to top club like Bayern. And let's see. Now it's tomorrow, almost 24 hours to kick off.
Yep.
And by that this time tomorrow, I don't know what we'll be feeling. Nervousness, optimism. Just let's see now.
Go on, Oscar, man. What are your thoughts about the game?
Yeah, I think ultimately it's going to be an unbelievable game of football. I really do. I think it's two of the best teams in Europe on current form going up against each other. Obviously
gonna ask
different
you
in
that.
styles. I think we're more transitional. We're obviously play at much higher tempo than what Bayern do. It's weird because if you said to someone who hadn't watched any football from either team, you'd expect Barca will be the team who want to keep the ball, slow tempo, super technical, not really got a lot of high energy players like Rafinha and Gavi in the team, and then Bayern would be the team that's kind of like high pressing, high tempo. It's just funny how the roles reverse kind of thing, and hopefully that could be a good omen for us going into this one. It always feels like against Bayern, the biggest issue is being not just in terms of the quality. We go back to that 8-2 game or the games against them in 2021 and 2022. Obviously, they had better players than us at that point. They bullied us as well in those games. They massively bullied us, and I think this Barca team is the difficult Barca team to bully. There's leaders in this team. Inigo Martinez at the back, Rafinha, Marc Casado, I think, is developing into a leader as well. Lewandowski, certainly, he's the player everyone looks up to in this team, in that kind of sense. And he'll know as well. Lewandowski will be highly motivated up against Harry Kane. We know what Lewandowski, his main focus is goals. Harry Kane's one of his biggest rivals, in terms of the golden shoe and the golden boot and goal records and that lot. And Harry Kane is taking his old spot on that lot. And Lewandowski wants to kind of prove in his head to Harry Kane that I'm the man here. I'm the man. You're the one following me. But I will always be the main man, kind of thing. And that's what, in Lewandowski's head, that'll be his thoughts going into this game. And yeah, it's absolutely massive from that point of view. But Iñaki Peña has got to be a bit of a talking point because
that was going to be the next question. Yeah.
I think ultimately, in terms of I hate to say it, I really do, because it's been such a positive start to the season. But it had a horrible feeling that we'll be the better team on the night, but Bayern will get the margins for them because in terms of goalkeeping, in terms of at both ends of the pitch, really. It is a difference maker in knockout competitions. In the league, it's a different scenario, but in knockout competitions, it's always the margins. 2022, it was the margins. Why we went out in the group stage. Last year, it was the margins. We were cruising past PSG at that point until the Araujo red card, and it's moments that decide games. And ultimately, I think out of all the 22 players on the pitch tomorrow night, Iñaki Peña is a player I think you'd be the least confident of in terms of giving a good performance. Obviously, Upamecano has got dodgy moments in him as well. By the way, he is someone who has had some horrific moments in the Champions League. So there is that as well, of course. But that's definitely a talking point for me. And of course, the other factor is that our key players, the likes of Gavi and Olmo, if they are going to play any minutes tomorrow night, they're not going to be at 100%. So that's a key factor. Of course, they've got Musiala. So ultimately, I won't go straight into a prediction, but I can't see there being more than the goal either way in this game. And I think it'll be a very high scoring one. I honestly think minimum 4 goals tomorrow night. I really do. I think you've got two teams that are just going to play absolutely on the front foot against each other. The highest lines you've ever seen in your life, kind of thing, going up against each other. I just can't see a way how this game and the next game, how there's not going to be goals for both teams. So I really do see it being a goal either way or even a draw, but high scoring one. I really do think we've got a cracking game.
I think what could add to your feelings is the fact that I actually heard Sid Lowe talk about it as well, the La Liga correspondent, that we have been playing with such a high line in defense. And, the stat is that, we provoked an offside 65 times this season in La Liga, which is a lot more than any other team in Europe's top 5.
They're all out.
Yeah, and I remember against Deportivo Alaves, I think it was, 11 or just an outrageous number.
Crazy.
It was crazy. And I'm wondering, Bayern Munich, what are they going to do against this high line? They've got, as you said, I think, Richard, that you mentioned the pacey wingers, and that could be a problem because I don't know if Balde is always going to be able to recover, for example, on the left, like our left side, or Koundé. Koundé is a lot, I don't know, he's a lot more solid defensively, let's say, but he's not as quick as Balde, so that could be a problem too. And I think also looking forward to the Real Madrid game, this is the same issue. Vinicius Junior, and usually, by the way, you mentioned Harry Kane. Mbappe and usually, the one taking care of Vinicius is Araujo. And you guys keep saying Harry Kane. You say Harry Kane, I hear Araujo. Araujo trying to defend against this guy. The big man is trying to avoid. Just don't get into the box. You can get into the box. But this time we're not going to have this one. We do have Kubarasi and Inigo Martinez, obviously, who have been amazing. But it's not Araujo, in the one-on-one defending and the you're not getting past me, never. It's just not going to happen this game. It happens so many times with Araujo and Vinicius, for example. And I'm wondering if Bayern are going to be able to exploit this high line that we have been playing very well against Deportivo Alaves, Sevilla, but I don't know if it's also going to happen against, a top team. Because if you look at our matches this season, we have played against decent teams. Like Sevilla are good, even though they are 12. Villarreal, I guess, maybe,
Girona as well. No,
but we haven't played against Bayern. Girona, right? Girona is a good team, but none of them is Bayern. Bilbao, absolutely. Yeah, Bilbao, but this is going to be a real test for this specific thing. It's not, if it's not going to work, it's not. I'm going to say, it's not worth anything because we've had a good set of games either way. But I think this is a good test, the Bayern and the Real Madrid game more than anything, because Vinicius and Mbappe, and you've got this high line, you need to time really well your offside traps and to stand in one line. And I think that's going to be, for me, that's tactically, that's going to be the most interesting thing. See if we can do the same thing against Bayern and Real Madrid, to reproduce what we did against Deportivo Alaves, for example.
That is a good point, man, because actually the question that I would like to ask you, we're getting close to the end, but what game out of the next two do you guys think is the most difficult? Because in my opinion, man, I think Madrid maybe has more differential players than Bayern, the likes of Mbappe, Vinicius Junior. But I think this game, man, depends more on Barça, man. I think if Barça plays the way that we are playing, and be effective at the box, I think we should win because Madrid, they are not being at the level that the people expect they to be, man. But Bayern, I think Bayern is a team that can hurt us more, man. Can make Barca more uncomfortable. That's what I meant to say. Because of course, Madrid can make a lot of trouble as well, especially with the spaces in behind. But I think Bayern is a game that as they like to have the ball as well. They maybe can put Barca more in the court, and make us a little bit uncomfortable, man. But I'm gonna ask Tal, who you are with the world. Everyone can answer, eh? But what game do you think is the most challenging one, man? Out of the two?
For me personally, I think, like you said, against Real Madrid, like we know how they play. We
Exactly.
know this team. In actually, you'd say, Bayern is a home game and Real Madrid is away. But normally, we actually do pretty decent in the Bernabeu. Like sometimes at Camp Nou we don't play that. Actually, I think what was it? The semi-final of the Copa del Rey. Actually, I went to this game. We lost 4-0 in Camp Nou,
Yeah.
and it
Won
was a
the
disaster.
first
I
and
actually flew
lost
all
the
the
second
way
one in
just to
Camp
watch
Nou.
this match.
Yeah, yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, we actually
Yeah.
won 1-0 in the Bernabeu.
Exactly.
So I think actually the harder match would have to be Bayern because like we've actually not only the fans, but also the team. We have nightmares from playing against this team. We haven't beat them in 9 years. The
Exactly.
same time that Sevilla hasn't beat us. The Sevilla. Everyone is saying, "Now we're gonna win. We're gonna beat Sevilla." They haven't won in 9 years.
Yeah.
But that's the same case. We haven't beat Bayern in 9 years. And Real Madrid, we know them. We're probably going to play a lot better than Real Madrid, obviously. Maybe we're going to be on Sunday and I'm going to say, wow, like we actually lost, I don't know, 31-0. They played a lot better. But I think we're going to play better against Real Madrid. I don't know if we're going to beat them. But against Bayern, it's a question. It's a
Exactly.
question because
More of a doubt.
last year, I think, what was it? Last year or 2 years ago, I think we actually lost 3 home in Camp Nou against them. Obviously, this match,
Yeah, it was
we were already kind
first
of
shot this season
gone.
was.
Like we weren't. Yeah, we weren't gonna qualify for the Champions for the round of 16 anyway.
Yeah.
But I think if I have to choose the harder match in terms of they can dominate us, Real Madrid probably things can change. Obviously, we don't know the future. But if I have to guess, Real Madrid are not gonna dominate us, and Bayern can definitely do so.
Exactly. That's the point that I was referring. Oscar, man, do you agree with Talman in this point? No.
I think I'm going to go slightly different. I'm going to go Real Madrid, but only for two reasons. I definitely agree with Tal when he says, in terms of Bayern Munich, are definitely the better structure at this moment in time in terms of how they play. I think Bayern Munich will have more of the ball tomorrow night. I'm under no illusions. I could see Bayern having sort of 60% of the ball, and
Exactly.
you don't really see that very often,
Against Barca.
mind you, all the camp now, really. And I think it's going to be they're both different types of game, even though they're similar level of opposition. Two teams that are going to be strong favourites to win the Champions League. But I think Real Madrid, when it comes to two things, really, I think the first thing is the high line. I think Bayern, of course, contested it. There's no question about it. But I don't think Bayern will look to release the passes in behind as quickly as what Real Madrid will do. I think Bayern will be a little bit more patient in the build-up, and Barca can actually use that to advantage in terms of making it a game where Barca are pressing Bayern off the pitch. That can happen, in terms of how good our press is at this moment in time, especially if Gavi comes on and Rafinha, is in the best conditions, etc., etc. Barca can put on a pressing masterclass tomorrow night if they get the press right. And of course, it's still a worry in terms of the balls over the top into Elise or Canabria or Coman or Sane, whoever it is in those areas, or Thomas Muller. But I think Real Madrid, when you've got Vinicius and Mbappe, who's two players in the whole world you don't want really to play a high line against? And for me, it probably is those two players in terms of all round ruthlessness. Although Barca can definitely go to Real Madrid and totally play Real Madrid off the park. If you go off form so far this season and performances and the differing kind of levels of both teams so far this season, if Barca score first in that game, the crowd gets a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous. That game could certainly come to us, but it does worry me, in terms of Vinicius and Mbappe. We can easily have 10 shots to Real Madrid's one, and Real Madrid's one could be incredibly dangerous. And the record Vinicius and Mbappe have against us as well is a big worry. But yeah, I don't think there's a lot in it, to be honest. I really don't. I think if we can come out of this week with a win and a draw. Of course we want to win both games, but a win and a draw would be unbelievable progress on last season. And to be honest, I've not really got that much preference in terms of which way round it is, just as long as we want to win at least one of them games.
Yeah.
For in terms of confidence for the rest of the season, listen, the reality is when you play top teams, you're going to lose some of those games. But if we can come out of that unbeaten or winning one of those games, we're already making huge progress on the last 5 or 6 years, to be honest. We're talking about a long period of time. And that would be massive. But I think the other reason I'd say Real Madrid is that last season, from a Hansi Flick's point of view, it was the Clásicos that I think ultimately ended Xavi's time at Barcelona. I think certainly that Super Cup one. I think obviously it happened a couple of weeks before Xavi handed in his resignation initially, but it felt to me the nature of that 4-1 defeat psychologically. I wouldn't say I knew Xavi was gone at that point, but I sort of thought,
Give the feeling.
is this Xavi experiment going to work? I just that was when I really sort of questioned it. And even like you go back to the Clásico at home last season when Bellingham scores a double and we dominate that game and Real Madrid end up winning. I just think psychologically, seeing what those games last season did to Xavi, psychologically for Flick, obviously Flick's a totally different coach, and I think even if we did lose on Saturday, it wouldn't massively change things for Flick. I just think psychologically, the media as well, the Barca media, in terms of if we lose the Clásico, the narrative will change. If we lose it badly, the narrative will totally change. We could beat Bayern 6-0 on Tuesday, and if we on Wednesday, and if we lose 3-0 to Real Madrid, Hansi Flick needs to go, and all this lot. Pep's contract's out at Man City. That will become a big story. We know what it's like, guys. So I just feel that the story will be bigger. Either way, if we stay unbeaten in those games, it'd be absolutely massive for us confidence-wise, or we even win one. But yeah, I just don't want to get battered in either game. That is the one thing. Just not going into either of those games and not competing. That'd be my worst nightmare, is losing one of those games heavily, because then you're kind of thinking, ooh, maybe this isn't the progress that we thought it was. But hopefully we're going to compete at the very least.
Yeah, man. Madrid is always a little bit of a nightmare in the sense that the games against Madrid always, I don't know, man, have an importance more than basically any other game, man. Even if I still think that the Bayern is more difficult. But go over Xavi, man, for us to end, man. What of the two games do you think is more challenging, man?
Well, to be honest, for me, I think winning tomorrow is much more important than winning against Madrid. Because, we have already lost one game in the Champions League, and you have 6 more matches left. And another loss tomorrow, which would make it very difficult to finish in the top 8 places. And finishing top 8 is very important to move directly into the round of 16 now. And else you finish between 9 to 25, you have to play 2 more extra games, and that would take more toll on the players. And another thing is that win tomorrow would make things even better to face Madrid psychologically.
Exactly.
I think also structurally and looking at the opponent, if you say, I think Bayern Munich right now possess a much more threat to us than Real Madrid. Of course, Madrid have quality players and they can hurt you. They have some really good players. They have a very good coach in Carlo Ancelotti, a very experienced coach. He has been coaching since decades now, 2 or 3 decades. And as a very successful coach, they have great players. Vinicius, of course, Mbappe, then the likes of Fede Valverde, Bellingham, Rodrigo, very good defenders in Militao, in Chouameni is there, then Rodiger is there. Obviously, a very good team, and they won the Champions League and La Liga last season. And to me, even if we lose to Real Madrid on Saturday, you still have 27 more chances in the league. And we will, by the way, even if we lose for a score less than 5-0, we will still be league leaders. And but it will definitely drop points over the course of the season, and you'll have another chance in another Clásico towards the end of the season. And that I would say would be more season defining for La Liga.
I think in La Liga it goes by. Just want to correct that I think it goes by like the record between the teams, right? It's not like the goal difference.
Head to head, exactly.
Yeah.
But until both of the matches between the two teams are played, it is decided. The table is decided on goal difference. Like before we face Madrid at the Camp Nou, I hope by the time we have the reverse fixture, we'll return to the Camp Nou, and by that time it would be depending on the goal difference. And so I think we'll have 27 more chances even if we lose in the league, and we'll have another classic. But in the Champions League, if we lose another game, it would be very difficult, to finish in the top 8 places. And by the way, we have more difficult games coming up even after facing Bayern Munich. We have a trip to Borussia Dortmund, one of the most intense atmosphere in Europe, and they are the finalists from last season, doing pretty well, pretty decent. They started the Champions League really well, and we have a trip to Benfica as well, another very good team, a good stadium to travel to. They have another intense atmosphere, and by the way, we lost 3-0 in our last visit to that stadium. And we also have Atalanta coming up, another good team from Italy. They won the Europa League last season, another very dangerous team. They also another team who score goals for fun. They defeated Bayer Leverkusen last season, the only team to do so. That they defeated Liverpool, and again they'll be facing us in the Champions League. And the rest of the games, if you say they are quite winnable, the matches against Red Star Belgrade or another match I think against Brest, those two matches, you will definitely expect Barcelona to win comprehensively. But the other games, they are not easy games. Benfica, Borussia Dortmund, Atalanta. So that is perhaps why I feel that beating Bayern tomorrow is much more important than beating Real Madrid 3 days later. And of course, we want to win both matches. And like in the last 2 seasons, we have had two very difficult weeks. Drawing to Inter Milan, which felt like a loss, and then losing to Real Madrid in the same week. And even last season, we lost to PSG and Real Madrid in the same week. And now it presents us with a new opportunity facing Bayern and Real Madrid in the same week. And of course, we hope that the outcome this time is different and we end up on the positive side on both the matches.
No, for sure, man. I think that the main point is that the opportunity, the opportunity to give the statement, to give the statement that Barca is in a great level and can compete against a team like Bayern that has been a pain in the ass for Barca in the basically the I don't know the last decade, or every game that we have played against them since 2015, man. But let's see what's going to be happening in that game, and
Even
also.
in 2013, sorry to put the really negative spin on it. Even if we forget 2015, 2013 they beat us 7-0 on aggregate in the semi-final.
I forgot about that, man. You are right.
Peak as well.
Yeah.
Sorry to put it in even
No,
more
no.
negativity.
No, but it's that.
Effectively, in the last 10 matches against Bayern Munich, we have won 1 and lost 10. Sorry, lost 9 and won 1 in the last 10 games.
It's because it seems so far, man. So far since the last time that we not even won, but did something against them. Well, the 2-0 under Xavi, that was a pretty good game on the in general, and a very unlucky game to not win. But in general, man, in the last decade, it has been just disaster after disaster, man. But I think that's gonna be it for today, guys. I think we covered basically everything that we need to cover, man. Gonna make a last line with everyone for you guys to say the last words, and then it's gonna be it, man. First with you, Tal, man. Thank you for coming in, man. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, man. And last, soon enough we're gonna be back, hopefully with the wins in this game, no?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. And yeah, we'll be back. Hopefully, we'll all be optimistic and happy still. I think it's one of the most important weeks of the season, even though we have a lot of games to play. But I think this week is definitely going to be key, like Oscar said, also mentally for the team. So hopefully, we'll be here happy next week.
For sure, man. Oscar, man, thank you for coming in, man. Hope you enjoyed as well, and hopefully we're gonna be back soon enough, man, with you as well.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be some very happy videos tomorrow night after the game. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, just compete. That's what I want. I think what we all want to see is just compete. No, nothing embarrassing, and just show what we can do. In these types of games, it's always going to be the margin. It's always going to be tight in terms of as long as we compete, it will be tight, and hopefully the margins go forwards. But it'd be the most Barcelona thing ever that we win the next two and then lose to Espanyol or something crazy like that. Or lose to Red Star. It is the most Barcelona thing ever.
Wouldn't be surprising.
As well, but we'll see. It's but yeah, I'm optimistic that at the very least we'll will give a solid performance tomorrow at the very least, and the Madrid game in the Bernabeu as well.
For sure, man. I think that is the main point, man. Rishav, man, thank you for coming, man. See, hope you
Yeah,
enjoyed
thank
as
you
well.
for having me. It was really good to, discuss with all of you. Like, and hopefully we'll have some happy faces by the time we have
Hopefully,
our
man.
next podcast. Hopefully we'll be discussing the wins over
Yeah.
Bayern and then Madrid.
Nah, yeah, exactly, man. I think on the next pod, whenever they may be, hopefully the headline's gonna be Barca won against Bayern and one against Madrid, and we are here just over the roof, man. That's gonna be it. Thank everyone for tuning in. Thank everyone that is also hearing the podcast, and soon enough we will be back. Forza Barca.